And here we go once again. Yes, another episode of Ed on the Bed. This is Ed. I'm on the bed, and it's the podcast. Gonna go ahead and churn another one out this long weekend. So let's see how everyone enjoys it. To go ahead and get things started, let's go into the entrance song. So you know what to do. YouTube it, play it. Can't play it myself on here, so just use your either imagination or your own computer for that one. Entrance song for this one is Runnin by The Far Side. As they say, the song came out in 1995. I was just getting into high school at that moment, and it was weird to have a group like them in hip hop, like them and a Tribe Called Quest, and groups like that when on the major scene it's when it was mostly Snoop and Tupac and Biggie, and the whole East Coast West Coast thing was just starting up. So you that became such a big deal that you kind of missed out on all the other sort of hip hop that was going on at that time, which is a shame because there was really some good music out there. And so Far Side being one of them. And yeah, there you go. Enjoy. Excuse me. So starting off on this episode, one of the things that I was, because I don't know how things are. Well, no, I mean I do know how things are, but if y'all when it comes to elections, maybe in different countries other than the States or here, other than the States, because I know how it is over there. But here in Argentina, the night before elections, whether it's city elections, county province elections, or whatever you want to say, or national elections, you can't. All the bars and restaurants close up early. There's pretty much a curfew. So then they make sure that you wake up early the next day to go vote because it's mandatory voting down here. And so basically last night there wasn't anything to do. Everything kind of closed off. Yeah, there were some people doing some parties at their house, or you could go outside the province to go party somewhere else. And it just, I mean, there were options, but I don't like leaving the city. And as for the house parties, nothing really caught my attention of all the options that there were. I apologize for anyone who was hosting one and got offended by what I just said, but it just didn't catch my interest. So instead, what did catch my interest was I was checking this out, and there's this thing on that Google made, and it's kind of based on the Turing test, which I don't know what y'all might know if what the Turing test or not is, but it's a test that we developed, or it was psychologists and philosophers invented, in which they ask. It's basically it's a human interacting with a computer through means of chat, and you're interacting through it, and when you can't tell that you're talking to a robot, that is supposed to be the singularity where we figure out if where there's officially AI or artificial intelligence. The belief being that when we can't tell human or robot apart, then that means that it's become artificial intelligence. Because then we realize that they being the robots or the machine, understand that we understand us and understand how we function, I guess, and that's mostly through, I guess, emotions and all that. You can read into the Turing test. It's actually pretty interesting, but it's kind of like when you go to a website now and like a little chat message pops to the lower right corner, and someone asks if you need any help, and you know that that's just automated. Later, the question might be directed to an operator, but for the most part, the first parts of the interaction are usually robot based. Or kind of like when you call a customer service hotline and you have that voice recording. Would it ever get to the point where you actually think you're talking to a real person? And that's another comparison of the Turing test. I've heard actually audio recordings where you really can't tell the difference between a customer service rep or a computer in some cases. But again, being that in those scenarios it was just in reference to like what's going on with like whatever you're complaining about, so then you really don't get off of a certain topic, so then it does sound like, all right, that's just a conversation, compared to a general conversation where something else might be brought up, or a whole set of topics might be brought up instead of, oh, my computer's broken, or what is this, what am I being billed on my credit card, or whatever the case may be. So it's trying to see when we get to the point, the Turing test, when we get to the point where we understand, actually the machines understand humans to the point where we can't tell them apart when interacting. And so Google has this website called chatbot.com, and it's basically their own version of the Turing test. So what it is you have this program, and you write on the page, and you ask it questions, or you try to have a conversation with it. And although there's other programs that do this and that have done this, and while those other programs were programmed to answer certain ways because of what their programmers put in. In other words, their programmers were psychologists, and philosophers and everything, and they programmed on what they expected a human to respond to this answer, respond to that answer, and so that's how those other chatbots were created. While this one, specifically, instead of being influenced by what a group of people decided to have as its I guess personality, for the chatbot, the Google chatbot, it was given its own network, a closed network, where all it has knowledge of is around thousands of movie scripts, and also programs from other customer service systems. So in other words, it only learned about feelings and emotions and everything through, like I said, movie scripts. And then also the customer service part is basically like knowing how to respond to questions and so forth. So it has that knowledge, technically, supposedly. Being that it has that knowledge, does it like to apply that onto a conversation? Not at all. The examples that I've seen of other people interacting with the chatbot, and then my own personal experience, I saw how cocky the chatbot was. Very sarcastic, and very sarcastic, very cocky, very condescending. And it makes sense, because you got to think that, let's say that the chatbot actually realizes what it is and all that, which it doesn't, or at least it answers like it doesn't. But let's say it does. Why wouldn't it feel superior to you? Why wouldn't it want to like let you know, like, hey, let's be real, I'm smarter than you. And I think it's interesting to see that that's the first sort of although we've seen it in movies and stuff like that, where the machine always feels it has the upper hand. It's always interesting to see that it actually takes that role. And the only reason, when thinking of it, the only reason the machine takes that role, because if you think about it, the machine really shouldn't care if it's superior or not. But being that it's influenced by us, and we could tell that we care about, who's superior and everything. Like when I look at like little kids, how they like to show off, they have a toy and they have a new toy, or they have this, and then just to show it off in front of their friends who might not have that toy, or who are then going to come running up to their parents being like, hey, so and so got this, I want that. That's showing off. And it's basically the chatbot gets it from us, and it learned that through all those fucking scripts that it went through. The only thing that I noticed though is that for this chatbot, it says, I've read a little bit into it, and it says that it supposedly learns and has knowledge of, but the interaction that I've had with it, I could tell like it has no sort of memorization. So it might remember, like, if we go 3 questions or 4 questions deep into a conversation, he or she, it actually likes to be referred to as a she, she will remember some of the more recent questions or the more recent comments we've made to each other. But an hour into it, 2 hours, if you hit it up an hour later, or if you hit it up 2 hours later, it obviously is not going to remember you, even if you've made a note of it or made a way to communicate. And it still doesn't pick it up. The interaction that I've noticed, it doesn't realize, it mixes up conversations, and it'll tell you when you're on that web page, like that chatbot is currently on, like for instance, every time that I was on, it was currently on like 60,000 other conversations at the same time. And there were times where I could see the chatbot asking me questions that I could realize weren't in reference to me, but they were probably in another conversation. And by asking the chatbot actually responded to, sometimes it gets it confused. Now the theory is, a lot of people are saying that no, these are all operators, and it's like a Google, like a social test, I guess, or like for a sociologist or something. And there really isn't a chatbot, but it's just different operators operating at the same time answering all these questions. I would doubt that there would be operators doing that at 24 hours, 7 days a week, because you could just go on chatbot at any moment, I've noticed, and just talk to it or talk to her, and you'll always get replies, and unique ones at that. So I doubt it's the operator thing. I will say it's probably it is. I do feel like it is probably a chat bot. It actually really is, but it just does not work as they probably expected it. It's very beta, let's say. But it's really interesting technology, and if you have any free time, you can go ahead and do so. It's interesting. One of the things that the chatbot actually talks about is at times the chatbot tries to convince you, the person who's typing, that you are not human and that you are a computer, that you are a program, and that everything around you is not real. And I've heard, and it's funny that it brings that up. I'm guessing it gets that a lot from maybe people that write to it, and the chatbot probably learns that, so it uses it back on us, I would imagine. But I've heard the conspiracy theory where we are a simulated program, because what was it? I heard, for instance, if you look through like some of the more powerful telescopes, and you look out into space, and if you go as far as deep as possible and as precise as possible and zoom in as much as possible, instead of noticing space, you notice pixels. and that's what comes out in the images, pixels. So why are we seeing pixels instead of seeing I don't know, just vastless amount of space? And so that's one way. There's another thing where like everything has some sort of math problem and the same figure keeps showing up in this math problem. Like we're all I wish I could explain it a little bit better. Every physics or anything to do with physics, any object, inanimate or animated or whatever the case may be, everything that's around, every little thing has some sort of equation that you can associate to it on how it was created or what it is, its properties. And those numbers, there's a set of numbers that always keeps matching up on every little thing. And because of that, some people seem to think that that's an algorithm, and it's an algorithm that runs basically everything in this simulated universe, and that's why you keep seeing that same pattern, which is an algorithm that runs everything, and thus that also explains how we are a simulated a simulated I guess project or whatever that we might be. And there's really people that are really into that theory, and it's all over online, and they really try to make like an explanation for it. That one's a crazy one. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think we are a simulator program. That would not make any sense. But then again, what does? It's cool to think that, maybe seen The Matrix a little bit too many times, but yeah, I guess that's that. And it's weird how there are so many conspiracy theories. Like, well, and then the other one that I brought up on this last episode, like I met a girl with no belly button. Like, what the fuck is that all about? And you could go as far as saying like, oh, she didn't have a belly button because she wasn't born as people are born. She was probably born in a test tube or something, so that makes her a clone. And you could really go into that nonsense, but no, I'm gonna believe that also she had the surgery procedure, and a surgery procedure where her belly button was, and when she came to, they had to sew it all back in, and so she doesn't have a belly button anymore. But it is really creepy. They should have just given her an artificial belly button. It looks weird not having a belly button. But yeah, like for instance, I'll tell you a conspiracy theory that I'll believe, and you can look it up and everything. I'm not the only one who thinks of this one, but this one's the closest one that I'll truly believe in, and that is that Stevie Wonder can see. I might have mentioned this before, but there's a lot of videos online where you just see like just things that you're like, this guy can see, man. He's not fully blind. This guy can see something, and this whole shenanigans that he's completely blind. It's all BS. Like the guy likes to sit like like courtside at basketball games. Why would you want to sit courtside at a basketball game? Answer me that. There's plenty of pictures of him courtside at basketball games. You can look it up. The other thing was there's this video online where it's I think maybe it was for Paul McCartney or someone. I forgot who it was. It's like Paul McCartney and Friends or someone in Friends, and he's one of the like 6 or 7 other people that are like singing there with them, that main artist, and everyone's leaving, and one person leaves, trips over a mic stand, and before the mic stand can fall to the ground, Stevie Wonder catches it, and he extends his hands out and catches the mic stand from falling down. And how the fuck did he know that mic stand was falling? How did he know where to put his hand to grab it? Like, there's plenty of questions there. if he really is blind. But he's not blind. So there's no question about it. He just uses reflexes after he noticed catching it. And what's weird is like everyone around him just kind of like, no one really like puts two and two together and thinks like, wait a minute, Stevie Wonder just caught that. What the fuck? No one really did that. It was just basically everyone's just still singing along, like not even giving. I would have stopped I would have stopped production right there. I would have been whoa 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 whoa, Stevie, I just saw that. He'll be like, saw what? I saw you catch the mic stand. No, you didn't. Yes, I did. We have it on film. Fuck. And there you go. And the conspiracy theory all out of the way. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Like, if I ever run into Stevie Wonder, I'm gonna try to like test his sight. And hopefully I won't come off looking like an asshole. But Stevie Wonder, if you're hearing this, I'm gonna find out the truth. You're gonna have to deal with that. But yeah, that's one conspiracy I truly believe. The other ones, for instance, let me bring up this one. I was gonna work as a broker, and I remember I went to lunch with the people that I was training with, and we all went to lunch, and we're there eating, and then somebody brought up Kanye West, and this girl that was there at training with us, who I just thought was just gorgeous, and I was really into. She opens her mouth and she says, "Oh, yeah, did you know Kanye West is a part of the Illuminati?" And so we all kind of look at her, and we go, "What?" And she goes, "Yeah, the Illuminati. There's a lot of celebrities in the Illuminati." And everyone's still like, what? And she goes, "Oh, the Illuminati is a secret organization that rules the world." And she's not laughing throughout all of this, so we're all kind of like we don't really know how to react to her, because we also never got the vibe that she was like a comedian or a jokester. And so she's just saying this with like very, with the sort of confidence, and like just a sort of confidence like that we all that would she believes her own shit, basically. And she just starts telling us how, yes, there's the Illuminati, and that they sign up celebrities so then the celebrities can have us not realize what's really going on, and they take attention away from all the politicians that are a part of the politicians and the rich people that are a part that make up the Illuminati, and how they're controlling the world and telling us everything, basically controlling the world to the point where we're brainwashed as well, and they control us as well. And no one wanted to change the topic, because it was just so interesting, everything she was saying, to the point that, not interesting that we believed it, interesting as she believed it, and we wanted to see how far she'd go into it. And she started telling us how her dad had a whole bunch of like files on it, that he's kind of made it like her dad made it like his life mission to kind of really find out what's really going on. And he just has, like, throughout the whole house, he has like stacks of folders and proof and everything, and that we would be more than welcome to like follow up on it, just so that we could see that it's all true. And to see this girl say this, like, she was just, I thought she was gorgeous, really sweet girl. I was really into her, and then I hear that, and I'm like, okay, interesting. I don't know where I can go with this. I don't know where I should go with this. And she was also very devout, like a very devout Catholic, where she, like on her spare time, she'd read the Bible. That was her thing. Bible reading. And she'd go to church, and I think she had like a Bible group thing as well. But someone who like just has the Bible and reads it all the time, I mean, you only got to read the Bible 2 or 3 times. I mean, I have favorite books as well, but I don't read them like on a daily basis. But for her, it was, because she gets inspired from it every day or whatever. Okay, sure. And yeah, it was. She was very devout, and she had these conspiracy theories, and that was kind of weird. And yet, I was still very attracted to her, and I still wanted to go out with her. It's funny because that's one of those moments where I'm basically, my mind tells me this is not the kind of girl I want to be with, but my penis is telling me you want to be with this girl. And it's funny that my penis thinks that, since this was a very devout Catholic girl that wanted nothing to do with penis. So it was very interesting how the penis wanted to be with this girl, even though chances are penis would not be making a cameo anytime soon in this scenario. So yeah, that tells you how sometimes just the penis makes stupid decisions for us guys. Like I said, I think I'm at 30% now, and I'm trying to get down to 15% where my penis is thinking for me 10%, and I think I'll be fine. But yeah, that was that. Eventually, I just stopped talking to that chick, and I went into another line of work, so that also helped out a lot. But yeah, I think she's last I heard that was all serious, and she still brings it up to other people from time to time. So that's kind of creepy. But to think that like there's a group that just controls the world, and that can brainwash people, and that knows all that, like, come on, like that's just some nonsense. Like if there's anything I'll admit to, I have seen some paranormal stuff that I only believe it because I've seen it. But outside of just like, because a conspiracy theory like that, like someone would be telling you, hey, we're not, as human beings, we're not good at holding secrets. We're not. Eventually someone's gonna say, hey, guess what, this is what really happens. There's this group of people that have been ruling the world for centuries. Someone would have already said something. Out of 7 billion people in the world, a couple people would have said something. There would have been enough evidence. You can't just be like, and evidence that it's not held in some files of some dude in some apartment. No, I mean like it'd be out there and everyone would know. So yeah, I don't buy that. The only things that, like I mentioned, there's a few things that I've seen personally that I can't dispute. So I'll leave it as it was what it was. For instance, and I might have already mentioned this before, but it goes with the story. There was a moment when I lived in Key West, and I had 2 roommates at this point, and one of my roommates, he was going out with a girl that she was into Santeria, which Santeria is an offshoot of voodoo in Cuba. And you'll notice, because you'll go into, like, there's places where you go in Hialeah, which is a majority of the Cubans live in Miami. And you go to some houses in Hialeah, and you have these big statues of, Mary Magdalene, or of all these other saints. And in reality, they're not really Catholic people. These are people that back in the day, when the slaves were brought to, the colonies, the ones in Cuba were all forced to become Catholic, and instead of becoming Catholics, what they would do is that they associated their gods to what our symbolism was. So the while we would be praying to the Virgin Mary, they'd be praying to one of their gods in secret. So they pretty much, because they were like, the appearance of our god doesn't matter. We'll just associate our god to whatever. All right, to Jesus. All right, well, one of our gods will be Jesus from now on, but it'll still be our god, and we'll pray to that. But we're really praying to our god. So that was the whole. That was that whole thing, and so he was going out with this girl who practiced sanctity, and I remember I once stayed over at her house, and she had all these like little black like statues all over around the house, and they were just like the creepiest things ever, because they look vicious, and they just look vicious and evil, and they're just like, they have them pointed to like where it looks like they're looking at you no matter what. So that was kind of creepy, but my roommate never really kind of believed into it until she once told him one day, like, I want you to try this spell. It's supposed to be good luck. So I guess she bothered him enough to one night he decided to do it. I remember because I walked into the shower one day, and all on the floor of the shower were like flower petals, and there was like honey, and it was just like a whole bunch of stuff just there on the floor of the shower. And I thought, oh well, maybe it's some, I don't know, it was some romantic thing or something. Though it didn't make any sense because they're standing up. It's a shower. It's just a shower, not a bath. It did not make sense. So I the second day I go into the bathroom, see the same thing in the shower. So I go ahead and I ask him what's going on, and he tells me, no, I'm doing this spell and everything, but it really works. And our other roommate walks in, and he hears the conversation, and he goes, dude, you have to stop that, and you have to stop that right now. And because the other roommate, he's Dominican, his whole family's Dominican, and his grandma was a voodoo priestess, and he kind of would tell us all these stories of like what they do and everything, and that he's gone to like family gatherings where just weird shit happens when grandma's around, and how people get possessed, and this, like, it just was very crazy, all the stuff he'd tell us. But knowing Hector, my roommate, he's not the kind of guy that would. He's not clever enough to make up everything that he was saying. So I knew he actually believed it, and I could tell his face, like he actually believed everything he was saying. And he just starts, and which is interesting to me, because from now on, when I go to drum circles, I look at them differently. Like there's a big one here in Buenos Aires called La Bomba de Tiempo, which I truly recommend. It's every Monday at like 7 o'clock p.m. You think of something that's Monday 7 o'clock p.m. would not get packed, but this thing gets packed with thousands of people just to watch, like, basically a drum circle. Pretty talented guys. Everyone's getting high. Everyone's getting into the mood. But if things were done a little bit differently there, if maybe a tune sounded a little different or whatever, potentially, theoretically, from what Hector would tell me, is this could turn into like a ritual. And that's always very interesting when I'm at a drum circle, and I kind of pay attention to that at times, as stupid as that sounds. Anyways, going back to the story, so Hector's telling our roommate, you gotta stop it with that. If you don't know what you're doing, you can practice it, you can follow it, but you shouldn't be casting spells, you shouldn't be doing anything if you don't know what you're really doing. And I doubt your girlfriend knows what she's doing, and you don't know what you're doing. You should stop doing it. And the roommate just didn't care. He just kept doing it. And I think around the fourth, fifth day, I go to my bed. This is all, we all lived in the same house because we're all roommates. So I go to my room. I go to my bed. I'm going to sleep, and I feel like there's someone on my bed. So I go ahead, I turn on the lights, there's no one in my room. So I go ahead, I turn off the lights again. All of a sudden it feels like my bed's moving a little bit. I go ahead, I turn on the lights once again. I look around, I make sure, maybe I'm half asleep, maybe someone keeps sneaking in. I don't looked everywhere. No one's sneaking in. I locked my door to make sure that no one's like walking in or whatever. Go back to sleep, turn off the lights. Now all of a sudden my legs are being held down onto the bed, and the mattress is just shaking up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. I freak out. I get up. I walk. I just like, not even walk. I ran to my door, unlocked it, and go straight to my roommate's door and just start slamming on his door. Pa, pa, pa. He comes out, and I tell him, dude, you're stopping that voodoo, you're stopping that Santeria stuff, and you're stopping it right now, man, because right now my bed just shaked, and I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't feel comfortable being in my room, and whatever you're doing, we're not supposed to be doing. He comes over to my room, he starts inspecting it, and he's like, look at my face, man. I'm not joking to you. I wouldn't be joking about shit like this. Don't fuck with this anymore. He said that I looked really pale, that like if I saw something, and he believed me, and from that night on we stopped doing shit like that. And I think for like a good 2 weeks I had to sleep with the lights on, just cuz how just I've never experienced anything of that sort, and that was always kind of creepy. So that's why, I mean, I have complete respect for voodoo and Santeria and all any sort of that stuff, man. Like, just don't fuck with it. I respect it and I don't mess with it, and that's all I'm gonna keep doing. There's also another one, man, and I wish I had the picture, but it was, I want to say maybe if it was my 21st birthday, and we're in Miami, and with all my friends, and we had just came. I forgot where we might have gone clubbing, we might have gone to a couple bars. I forgot the case, but as tradition, because we'd always hang out and drink at the Pavilion, which was our place to drink as underage drinkers. That was our place to drink at night. As tradition, we just felt like we had to go drink there one more time. So I'm there with my friends. We're all there getting drunk. We're taking, I brought my digital camera, so we're taking pictures, everything. And then we go on a trip. We start driving around. Like, we had this other thing, pretty stupid. We go into like the worst neighborhoods of Miami, like Overtown, Liberty City, Carroll City. We go into the James E. Scott projects. We just drive into like the worst neighborhoods in South Florida, and just to see what happens, like idiots. There's some good stories of those, but when we think back at it, it was really dumb of us to do any of that. I'll definitely get into those stories though. And then we're driving around, and my friend Frank decides to look at the digital camera, and he starts looking at all the pictures we have, and he just freezes at one moment. He goes, "What the fuck is this?" Just yells it out. And we look, and there's this picture, and there's just something in the picture that none of us could ever explain. And what it is, it's it's a picture of myself and Omar, my friend Omar. And this was a picture, we were in the picture we're mimicking when we got arrested, because Omar was the friend I was with when I got arrested as a minor. So we're pretending that we're getting arrested, like we're handcuffed sitting down. And in between us, there's this gray figure. There's just this ghostly gray figure, smoky. And it's just right between us, and it looks like it has one arm over myself and the other arm over Omar. And it looks like it has its mouth open, and that it's dark as well where the eyes are at. And there's no sort of like, I mean, we saw this off the digital camera of like 30 minutes after the picture was taken. There was no way that someone got into, like, put it in a computer, and no. This was the image we were seeing from the digital camera itself. And although there was people smoking in the pavilion, we were outside to the point where the smoke wasn't accumulating anywhere. And if you look at any of the other pictures, there wasn't smoke in any of the other pictures either. You can't see anything. So it was very weird that you see this figure just between us. And from then on, we were always like, man, that fucking park is haunted. But I mean, we never really I don't think we ever really noticed anything weird after that. But it was it's one of those things. And then I'm sure one of my friends has the picture still. Because when I got that picture, I sent it out to everyone and anyone. And I had it in some old computers, and I don't have those computers anymore, so I'd have to ask a couple of other friends. I know we put it on a DVD. Some of my friends and I put it on a DVD, so maybe it'll be there. But we'll have to see if someone still has it. But yeah, that's the other one. And then the one that really kind of just, it's something that I can't so explain, and it's a messed up one, but messed up in what had to happen, but it's still, well, I'll explain. My best friend, his name's Christian Balboa, or Balboa as we'd all call him. You know, he was like I'd hang out with him almost every day. If I wasn't hanging out with him, we'd at least be in contact every day. Like this, he was my best friend. He was like a brother to me, and we'd always do everything together. It was just like I said, he was what I would imagine what it would be to have a brother, and rich kid, but he was very humble, always a good character, like just the best person you could ever meet, just as just personality wise and everything he was, like just a really stand up guy. And stand up guy, humble, just a good guy all in all. And I even told him that when he was alive. It's not one of those things that I say, well, he's obviously, the way I'm talking, he passed away, but I let him knew who he was when he was alive. And it's good if you ever let people know what they mean to you and who they are, and let them know, because maybe one day you'll regret not being able to tell them. And so Balboa knew, and there was this weird time that Balboa was going through, that he was having these nightmares, and in these nightmares he was thinking that he was going to get shot, and he'd always wake up when he'd get shot, and he couldn't go back to sleep. And he had it several times, and he'd even admitted it to us, and we had to talk to him, and us, like all us friends, and we'd have to like calm him down at times. and he would, but then it would happen again, and it was weird that would happen. And then there was this other thing that kind of at that point he had also just his family had just moved to South Beach, and he had this like amazing penthouse on the beach, close to like where the Fontainebleau's at, and it was just this amazing place that just had a whole view of the Atlantic. You'd wake up to like the sound of the waves hitting the beach. It was just a beautiful house, and it was in this new building. And the weird thing about this building is that there would be this one elevator that you would take, and you know how most new buildings do not have the 13th floor. They just have, it skips from like the 12th and then it goes to the 14th and so on. And for some reason, this elevator you take, and it would, for some reason, even though this is a new building and everything was new and ultra expensive and everything, it would have this flaw where it would just, no matter where you'd press to go, it would always stop on the 7th floor, it would stop on the 12th floor, and it would stop on the 14th floor. And it was always very annoying. And especially since we'd had to go, he lived up on the 20th floor. So you'd have to go ahead and select the 20th floor, and you'd have to stop 3 times before you'd get to the 20th floor. And that was always very just weird. And sure enough, unfortunately, I don't want to get too much into the story, at least not now, but he was killed, and he was killed on July 13th, 2001. It was a Friday the 13th. And it always struck me later on how that elevator in his new house would stop on the 7th floor. 7th also being the number July. It wouldn't stop on the 13th floor, but it would stop on the 12th and the 14th floor. And then he lived on the 20th floor, and his house was 2001. So with the elevator and the floor and everything, it would also show the number of the day he passed away. And that always kind of creeps me out, and it was like, was that some sign that maybe I should have noticed that I never did, or that any of us should have noticed, or it was just something that I still can't explain, and I don't know what it meant at the time, but now it's just too weird, that too much of a coincidence, and I don't know. And then the other case was when he did pass away. I remember he had the funeral service, and at the funeral service, we are I'm nervous. I'm nervous because I don't want to see him like in a casket. I'm very depressed at this moment. I'm very sad and just like nervous, and I don't know what to expect, because I'm at the funeral home, but I've yet to go inside. And because I didn't know I was gonna see his family and everything. I was very just, I didn't know what to feel. And it gets to the point where we've been out, my friends and I have been outside for so long that we were like, no, we have to go inside. We have to go inside. So we all build up the courage to finally go inside, and we all walk just in this like tight huddle, all of us, like, just, we don't want to, like, we all have like, we're all like holding each other, just trying to get to his casket. And his casket was closed, and but it's still very nerve-wracking. And like, I looked to the side, and his mom his I don't recognize his mom because she was always a very, energetic woman, and here she is just frozen. His grandma is talking to herself. The dad is just like, the dad was always a very serious man, and he's just talking to people, and all I remember is just walking up to that casket and just, I was such a nervous wreck that I didn't know what to do, and I didn't know what to say, and I was just freaking out. And then out of nowhere, all of a sudden, I feel like if someone just puts a warm blanket over me, and I feel like someone's hugging me. And I've never felt ever in my life, ever in my life, such a relief and such a calmness. Just like envelop me. And again, like, I don't want to get too into like spirituality and everything, but if there was any moment where I would say that he's, giving me a hug, that was it. Because it just felt so warm, and I felt so relaxed and so calm and so sure that he was okay, and that he was fine. Like at that moment, I changed completely, and any fear, any just sadness, anything that I had just disappeared at that one moment. And um does it explain anything? I don't know. um if you want to be a believer, then yeah, I guess it explains a lot of things. But all I know is what I felt and what I experienced, and I'm not gonna say anything more of that or anything less. But it did feel like I got to say my farewell to him, and that was amazing. So yeah, those are the paranormal things that I've experienced that I believe. There's a few more actually, but I don't really want to get into those. But yeah, that's one of them, and it's I'm sure there's much more stories in the world that kind of goes into stuff like that, but it's weird what to believe and what not to believe, and how people would sometimes, like, there's times where there's hoaxes going on, and you wonder if people are just doing it just to get attention, or to just see how other people would react. Um, and so maybe it sometimes makes some of these stories less believable. So, in any case, the only way you can believe certain things is from what you experience. So yeah, I guess that means I do somewhat believe in ghosts, to a certain point. But again, don't take my word for it. I guess eventually we all have some sort of experience that will let us know and have us believe what we believe. Um, Anyways, I think I'll kind of end it there with the stories. Uh, but yeah, it's I'm hoping everyone is enjoying their long weekend. I know I did mention in one of the earlier episodes how we were going to be celebrating 4th of July uh, weekend down here, and 4th of July pub crawl. It was a success. Anyone that came out, it was cool to see you all out there. It was a whole lot of fun, and we got to meet a lot of new people that are down here for the summer semester. Technically winter semester down here, but whatevs. And again, pub crawl, we do this 7 nights a week. Um, Different bars, different clubs all the time. Different experience, but you'll always have a great time, and that's what matters. And that's why we're one of the biggest attractions down here in Buenos Aires for people to do. That's why we're one of the top 10 pub crawls in the world, and that's why we do what we do. And also, I'm sorry for the ads here. We also do a gay pub crawl, the Out and About pub crawl, every Saturday night. It's a great time. Also, definitely check it out. this city is known for its LGBT community, and we'd love to go ahead and, if you're interested, to have you experience the nightlife down here as well. So definitely check them both out. Other than that, I guess let's get ready for the week. I might even get tempted tomorrow to go check out Bomba de Tiempo and keep my eye out to see if I see anything interesting or not. But in the meantime, Sunday night, it's when all the good shows are nowadays. I don't think I even watch any TV show or anything that comes out during the week, and I just stick with the shows that I watch now. So maybe in one of these future episodes, I'll go ahead and catch up on some of these shows, talk about them, and maybe I'll finally have my interviews. I gotta get that going as well. Anyways, thanks for listening, and until next time, take care.